Hello there, everybody! You're listening to not a radio station, but in fact shadowgear635 on YouTube, watching a video of not Bionic or even Lego. This is a review of the Transformers Combiner Wars Wave 5. All the Combaticons. I'm going to preface this. I fucking love Bruticus, and I love Bruticus with the Perfect Effect add-on pieces. And what does that mean? That means I'm going to be doing 3 separate videos. This video will cover all 4 of the limbs. The next video will cover Bruticus, will cover Onslaught and Bruticus in the standard combination. And then the last video will cover the Perfect Effect add-on hands and feet, and the preferred, well, not preferred, but my preferred way to display Bruticus. So that's going to be that. So this video is going to be covering the 4 of these guys. I want to preface, for those of you who have not followed me for a long time, I'm a big fan of Transformers. I don't buy them as often as I used to, but I still am actively in the fandom. And I love combiners. I've loved combining robots since Power Rangers and Transformers and completely other shows. And man, I've wanted a Combiner Wars toy for so long. I'm kind of bummed out because I wish I bought Superion when he was first out, because I'm actually interested in Superion now. But yeah, I don't know. I was waiting for the right combiner, and I waited for my favorite one to come out, which is Bruticus. And man, let me tell you, it was a fun ride getting all of them. The 4 of these limbs came out around Christmas time, and I got them all as a Christmas gift, but I could not find Onslaught until months later. But we'll get to that when I eventually review Onslaught. So let's review these guys individually and see where we go. Let's start with... I'm going to throw something at one of them and see where it lands. I'm going to close my eyes. Hold on. It landed on Brawl, so let's review Brawl. And here is Combiner Wars Deluxe Brawl, a point of much contention because of his particular issue in his robot form, but we'll get to that when we get to it. He does have his little hand-foot gun, which I'll just plop right off. For those of you who aren't familiar with this piece, it's a gun that's supposed to replicate a foot as well as a little fist. You just take that, do that, move the thumb. And then you have not a fist. No, capital T, capital H, I-S-T. That's not how that works. But yeah, there's that piece. I'll leave that off to the side because I don't care for it. But here is just stock-ass Brawl. He's a tank. This guy is just a straight-up tank. And a nice color of olive green, a nice military green for him too. I really like the way it looks. You can tilt that turret up if you so choose. Turrets can't swivel though, that's kind of a bummer. But overall, I think the tank mode for Brawl is just really solid. You have this little peg that the hand-foot gun was attached to. You can bring that up, and so if you wanted to just attach the gun here instead, and it's a 5mm port. I mean, you can put anything you really want on there for most weapons of action figures or Transformers. But yeah, that's Brawl. I'm not going to be covering the transformation of him. Because if you want to look for something more detailed, there's tons of other videos on there. I just want to cover my opinions of each of the modes. Although there's one little funny thing I want to show you though. Bro, don't mess with my Gerwalk tank. It's a tank on legs. You better look out. This guy's gonna come wreck you. He's gonna come walking at you full tilt. So he's gonna full tilt walk at you with this. I'm sorry, I just find this amusing. So let's move on to the actual robot form. And here we have Combiner Wars Brawl, and I love this stumpy little guy. I love the way he looks. If I had to rank him from the 4 limbs, he's probably my second. You know what, actually, I think Brawl's actually my favorite. I think he has the best proportions out of any of the combiners in terms of my taste. Well, not combiners, but limbs, sorry. But I like that goes down there, that's fine. His arms are a little bit stubby, at least the lower arms are, but I'm okay with it because the complaint is that when you put something in his hands, you really can't bend the elbow up to put the gun barrel up. But you kind of can, and it's fine to me. It's not that big of a concern. I love how stompy the lower legs are. Well, my elbow here is a little bit loose, but it still holds everything perfectly fine. His head is cool. I think his head is alright. Head is looking pretty okay. Turret here makes a nice little backpack. You can remove the gun barrel up here to give himself a little weapon. It's fine. I really don't need to do it. The biggest contention on Brawl, though, is that his waist assembly is a bit borked. So you'll notice my guy's looking a little full right now. Like he's looking okay. However, if I do this and collapse that combiner port, dude has a floating stomach. It doesn't look all that great. There's a little accordion design here in the waist that's supposed to collapse in a bit more, and some figures do, some figures don't. And the first way I had it figured out is where I took this little bit here on the waist, and I just kind of slotted that up, and then that gave him that weird proportion to where he looks a bit more full now, but he's a bit shorter, and I don't necessarily like the look of that. So instead, to counteract that, what I do is that I take the combiner port, take it out in 2 clicks, and then kind of finagle this in to where his stomach is more filled in and he retains his height. And that looks grade A to me. So yeah, that's Brawl. I like the way he looks quite a bit. And man, Brawl's great. Combaticons are great. Let's keep this moving, huh? Also, I'm a little bit silly. I was requested by someone near and dear to me to review the butt on each of these guys. This is a pretty bad butt. Accurate, though, because he has a butthole. So, beware of the butthole. Next up we have here is Combiner Wars Swindle. Swindle I've liked a lot since animated as a character. I never really caught a really good glimpse of him in G1, but I'm assuming he had a very similar character. And here he's just this nice little kind of military Humvee. The color of the yellow is good. I like the little minigun on top. He rolls around a bit. I mean, this is a mold based off Combiner Wars Rook, which was an original character for the Protectobots, and I like that mold better. I don't have it, but it looks better to me, as opposed to this version. But this looks fine. I like the way it looks. I think the minigun on the top definitely sells it, though. I like the way that looks quite a bit. So let's move on to the robot form. And here's Combiner Wars Swindle in robot mode. Man, he looks great. The major issue with him is that the inside of his lower legs there are super hollow. It doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would. I think it looks perfectly fine, especially if you're looking at him from the front. And typically I just have him as a leg anyway, so it's fine. But detailing is great, nice little bits of gunmetal. I like the purple and blue here in the front. I think that just, pops. It's a good contrast of like yellow and purple. Even though this is kind of like more of like a spicy mustard compared to kind of the deep, rich purple. I love his head. I think his little noggin is really cute. I like the big purple eyes. It's a big feature on Swindle for me. I wish he had a little smirk instead of like kind of the grimace face he has. But yeah, it's something. It's perfectly fine. His arms are good. They're posable. Actually, they're faux ratcheted too. I think that's a bit weird. But in general, I think he's got a waist too. Swindle's great. Swindle's my second favorite out of all these guys because he's really posable. I like kind of the big, like strong stature he has. I don't think it necessarily fits Swindle, although I guess the animated version kind of had that look to him, so I think that's fine. And he has his little mini Tommy gun thing going on, and I like the way that looks. Let's move on to Vortex. And once again, for the sake of prosperity, I will say Swindle, he's got a butthole, just like Brawl. Accurate, it's fine. The butt is really mediocre. And here we have Combiner Wars Vortex, who is the third version of a helicopter mold that has been floating around in Combiner Wars. And this is my first time getting him, probably the only time I'm ever going to get him. And I like the way this little guy looks. I think he looks a little too long. I think for a helicopter, maybe I'm not thinking about a helicopter properly. I don't like how long he is, especially, nose is fine. The tail is a bit weird. Like the midsection is probably the longest out of all of these. Then again, the version, this guy is like, his transformation is very similar to a jet. More particularly, if you just flip this around, they're the same exact toy. But it's re-engineered. It's better. It's different. I kind of don't like the fact the arms are just hanging out on the side, but he can hold his extra little gun that he comes with and the combiner foot there on the bottom as well. So that's cool. And the propeller spins. That's all great. I think the colors on him in general look great, and it's going to get better once we get the robot mode. And here's Combiner Wars Vortex. Man, I love the deep dark turquoise and the bright purple, bright yellow, bright red. Like, I love that blocking of it. Like, those are such really nice colors to use. And I wouldn't think to use yellow or red. The other, like, the gray, the purple, the teal, like, I love using those colors anyway. In, like, different palettes or designs. But adding the yellow and the purple, the yellow and the red, looks so cool. I love the way it looks. As a figure, I think he's fine. I think he's perfectly serviceable. I mean, he has all the articulation you really need, even a waist joint in there, too. He does have the blades kind of hanging off his butt, and you can just kind of take these and push that up. Then they stay in there. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. I like his head. I love just the deep red rich visor on him. I think that looks great. It's a little scary. The same goes for Blastoff as well when I get to him. Is that when you take the legs and you push them back together, it snaps in. That's perfectly fine. But if you want to snap them out, it makes a really disgusting sound. Just, like I feel like I'm tearing through plastic every time I do that. Although it's locked in stable. Like, I think there's nothing really to worry about. It's just a really disconcerting sound. If we're gonna get to the butt on this guy, we gotta dig deep. We gotta take these propellers and then push them up. And he has no butt. Literally no butt. It's nothing. It's garbage. Or you can count the propellers as his butt. So I guess if his butt is a propeller, then he's got the best butt so far, man. Let's move on to Blastoff. Fuck, it's hot in here. And lastly, we have Combiner Wars Blastoff, who traditionally is a shuttle. In his bio on the back of the card, it does say, hey, he was demanded to be like, hey man, you gotta stay with us. You can't be a spaceship flying in space. You gotta be a plane with us on the ground. And he's like, oh, and he's like super depressed over the fact that he's a plane now. I think that's super funny. But yeah, it's not a shuttle, it's a plane. Or it's fine. I mean, the colors are right. The colors are dead on. I love the way they look. The purple and the brown look really cool. I like kind of the lavender cockpit. I think that's a nice touch. You do have weapons kind of here on the underside. I mean, you can just kind of pluck those off and just have a straight up block with tiny wings in a cockpit. But I don't know. It's fine. I don't have any issues with him being a not shuttle. In fact, I kind of like the fact he's a plane instead, because that makes more sense contextually for a group of army vehicles, and why is there a shuttle as one of them? So let's move on to robot mode. And here we have Combiner Wars Blastoff, who I don't like the head. I mean, traditionally Blastoff has always had like this thick, like visored face with this nice giant faceplate, and it's all there except for the faceplate, and it kind of bums me out, but it's okay, it's fine. He's probably the most boring to me out of all the limbs. In terms of the robot mode, I mean, he has some kibble on the back, but then again, they all kind of do. And arms okay, the legs are pretty much the exact same as Vortex. It's just, he's perfectly fine. It's just, I just don't like kind of just the frowny face he's got on. I don't like the way that looks. I wish he had a faceplate to look menacing like the others. Even Swindle, who doesn't need a faceplate, I wish he just had a little more character. But like otherwise, the sculpts are fine. I mean, they look really cool. So, yeah. And the very same here with his butt. It's bare, it's plain, it's really boring. I don't dig it. Overall, I like these guys as a team. I think they all have just a tiny bit of purple except for Brawl. They all have a tiny bit of yellow except for Brawl. But they each have like maybe a tiny bit of green or a tiny bit of gray, which Brawl, like, there are complaints with some that most combiners, Lego or Transformers or Power Rangers or otherwise, the limbs should be all the same color. I disagree. I think if you want to have characters who are one being and then can separate into 5 other beings, you got to make the other ones stand out from, from the main guy. I mean, I like the way this looks. I like them as a team. I like their personalities together. And I was like 2 months. I got these guys back in December, and then it wasn't until February when I got Onslaught to make Bruticus. So I just kind of had these guys for a while, and they were really fun to mess with. In fact, I'm very happy that I got to mess with these guys for a few months first, then get the combined form, because I appreciated these guys as deluxes way more. So yeah, this has been ShadowGear655, and next time I join you, well, maybe not next time I join you, but next time I review a Transformer, it's definitely going to be Combiner Wars Onslaught. Thank you, and have a good night.